We continue to watch the tropics this morning as we have two hurricanes out in the Atlantic. One is Umberto, the other is Imelda. Imelda is being pulled by Umberto right towards Bermuda, where it could clip Bermuda or make an actual landfall as a Category 2 100-mile-per-hour storm. So we're going to continue to cover this storm. After that, we will talk about other areas I'm watching for more tropical activity as we get several days into October. By the way, happy October. It's October the 1st. It's one of my favorite months out of the year, if not my favorite, just because, you got the changing of the leaves and we fully get into the fall season, which is my favorite season. So just want to throw that out there. After that, we'll cover today's weather and then we'll round off the video. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. Let's make sure this is going to work. And it is, so we're good to go. So this is what is still technically Hurricane Umberto. Very sloppy looking. You can tell it's merging with some sort of a frontal boundary here, really starting to lose its tropical characteristics. But as of right now, the 5 a.m. update, it's still a Category 1 hurricane. Just looks very sloppy. A big blob of color out there in the Atlantic, which is actually convection, shower and storm activity. You got this down here, which is Imelda. You can see more of that spin. Looks like more of a classic hurricane, and it is. It has its tropical characteristics, and it's doing its thing. It's gradually strengthening. And you see this little speck right here? That is Bermuda, and this system is heading right towards Bermuda at a pretty fast clip. And that is the good news, is this is going to hit Bermuda and then head on out pretty fast. Luckily, Bermuda is built like a tank. I mean, you guys are definitely built for this, but we are praying for you guys and we're about to cover it. And definitely let me know if you're tuning in from out there. I would love to know. I had a couple people mention that they are watching from Bermuda in the comments. Just let me know what you end up seeing. Of course, the priority is to stay safe right there, hunker down. But this is definitely moving in for tonight. It's still pretty far away, right? You're thinking, how's this going to move in tonight? Well, it's coming at you pretty quick. So there's just a broad look at things. Let's continue to move forward. The latest from the National Hurricane Center. It's a Category 1 90-mile-per-hour hurricane. Bermuda, of course, you guys are under hurricane warnings. The bad trend we've seen with this looks to pass south of Bermuda now. So that means that you're going to get hit probably by the worst of the storm. But still, the worst of this storm might not be devastating because it's going to be moving so fast. But I'm telling you, there's going to be a few to several hour period where it's just going to be rough overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, starting off late this evening. But I mean, by 2 a.m. tonight, this will be a Category 2 100-mile-per-hour hurricane. So, I mean, you guys are still going to get hit really hard. Like I said, just going to be moving very fast. It'll move in, it'll move out. So the jury's still out if this is going to make an actual landfall. The actual center, the low-level circulation, the eye of the hurricane has to move over Bermuda to make an actual landfall. But right now, they're thinking just south of the island. So this is the latest cone. If we take a broad look, what does it do after this? Well, it races off into the North Atlantic and loses its tropical characteristics. Luckily, Atlantic Canada has not really had to deal with any of these tropical systems, these recurving systems for the most part. So you're not going to get any impacts from Umberto. If you look at the cone with this, it's pretty much going to go away because it merges with a trough or a frontal boundary. So you don't have to worry about any impacts up there. So just want to show some love to you folks up there in Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, etc. So the chances to see hurricane force winds, this is pretty much 75-mile-per-hour winds or higher, is now up to a 60 to 70% chance in Bermuda. So you guys are going to see hurricane force conditions. I mean, you got hurricane warnings up for a reason, so just hunker down. It's coming. Now, you look at the latest as far as the time frame to see a tropical storm force wind gust, and this is it, Bermuda right here. By this afternoon, you start to get some dicey conditions, and you know that there's another tropical system coming. I saw some video from Umberto from yesterday or the day before, and it was looking a little dicey, but not too crazy. But just to look at some hurricane models. So we'll start this off by around 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. Here it comes. You're going to see an island pop up on your screen. That is Bermuda. And like I said, remember how I mentioned the northern part of the storm? We talked about this in last night's video is the worst. You can see the southern area of the storm really ate up with dry air. The northern part still has that eye wall. And unfortunately, it does look like even if the system passes south, you would almost want the system to go right over Bermuda. you guys are going to get hit by the worst part of the storm. It's just going to be quick. Like, for example, this is 11 o'clock. This is 2 a.m. in the morning. This is 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then it's just racing off. It's gone. I mean, by the time it's breakfast time, this system's heading on out. So, I mean, it's going to move in later this evening. Bang, hit you guys. This is when it's going to be the worst, but it's going to be racing fast. And then the HFB model shows a little bit of a worse scenario just because you guys, I mean, this is what, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. to 5, 6 a.m. or so. That is when the worst of conditions are going to be in Bermuda. You can see that eye wall hitting Bermuda here. And hopefully this is just, like I said, can just move in and out very quick. But the worst case scenario is what the HFB model is printing out here. And here's Bermuda. This is potential wind gusts, not sustained wind gusts. But, you know, just keep in mind in these areas and like the whites getting into dark pinks, I mean, this is over 85 to over 110 mile per hour wind gusts. And, you know, has this hitting Bermuda, you know, this is around 4, 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. You guys are getting hit hard by sort of the northwest eye wall of this system. So, I mean, it is going to, and even as this pulls away tomorrow afternoon, you're going to be dealing with some strong, gusty, kind of northerly winds here on the backside of this system. So that we need this system to just move very fast over the area. So just be prepared. It's coming. It's going to be rocky. I mean, you're going to get an all-out hurricane overnight, but it's just going to last for the overnight period, and then we'll be done. So we're hoping that you guys fare well out there, and we're certainly praying for you guys. But moving forward, anything else out there? Well, we'll start off. This is the latest and greatest global tropics outlook issued yesterday afternoon. This is between the 8th through the 14th of October. We're going to watch what I think is going to be one last tropical wave. 20% chance of this developing right in this region. And then we're going to watch the Bay of Campeche, the Western Caribbean. And then as we get to the 15th through the 21st, it really has a heightened area in the Western Caribbean and the Bay of Campeche areas of the Southern Gulf for a 40% chance in this kind of solid red color of tropical development. And this striped red and white, this is a 20% chance. So are we seeing anything reflected in the model guides that supports that? Well, we are somewhat. So we're going to start this off this coming Friday. So October the 3rd, next couple days. The Euro in general shows what we've been talking about in the Northern Gulf, blob of convection. Can this spin up and do something interesting this weekend or anything out the coast of the Southeast? I think we certainly need to watch it. Nothing too wild, but it could certainly bring a lot of moisture along the Gulf coastline, Florida, and maybe even the Southeast coastline, as we'll have a lot of moisture around, but nothing really fully gets together. Now, what about any wave action as we start to get into that time frame of interest based off the tropics outlook? It does show a wave right into here, but I mean, it's between day 7 and day 10, getting close to October 10th, and it really doesn't do anything. It just kind of turns and heads on out to sea. And honestly, the entirety of the Euro run does not look bad. Now you get into some other model guides though, okay, and ensemble guidance, which doesn't 100% back up the Euro operational run. So same thing. We'll start off Friday evening. We need to watch the Northern Gulf. A lot of green, splashes of yellow and orange showing up there. Could get a quick little spin up. Whatever spins up there, I don't think it'll be bad at all. It just could bring a lot of moisture to kind of the central Gulf coastline. And anything else after that, as we get in early next week, I do think there's some energy trying to get going here in the Bay of Campeche. And then we got a wave down here, sort of a low rider, trying to sneak into the Caribbean. We get about a 1 week from today. And here comes a tropical system between day 7 and day 10 in an area that we don't like to see it. And this is as far out as we can go. 10 days out, and honestly, this is as far out as we need to go. But as a 995 millibar low, probably a tropical storm strengthening in the Eastern Caribbean, an area of the tropics that has really been very quiet this hurricane season. I mean, extremely quiet. So we got to watch stuff like this. This is as far out as we can go. But ensemble guidance supports the idea of this wave, at least way over here. Now, the Euro AI model, does have a lot of energy kind of cluttering up here in the Northern Gulf off the coast of the Southeast, but nothing really getting together. We get about a 1 week out from the day, about a week and some change. And there's that wave showing up just like it does on the GFS. And this supports the global tropics outlook with a wave emerging. So you go about, let's go about 10 days out from right now. You got some energy down here, just a lot of green. And the Gulf and the Caribbean, the Southeast. So this is the time of the year. And when we get in October, we have to watch energy going down here. We've been extremely lucky so far with nothing popping off in the Gulf or Caribbean. But here's a wave right here. Does it do anything? It does, but then it gets carried away by a cold front. And what about the Canadian? What does it show? Canadian just kind of throws a little bit of a curveball with us and sort of tries to get something going between Cuba and the Florida Keys. About 7.5 days from now, sneaks this into the I don't know what's going on with there. Sneak this. Hopefully my internet's going out. Not going out, but sneaks this into the Gulf. And about 10 days from now, you got a strengthening tropical system. Now, it does show that wave right into here also, that the GFS, the Euro AI model is showing in its ensembles, which I'm about to show you here in a second. But it curves, which the pattern could support that, especially as we get late in the year. But you do got something here off the Canadian. And then you look at the icon, we can go about a week out, and it shows a wave also over here, but it shows it much earlier in time. Already have a weak tropical wave sort of just outside of the Caribbean, the Lesser Antilles, and we got a lot of tropical moisture kind of flooding here. Not flooding, but well, it might, but taking over Florida here, getting into Georgia, kind of getting slung up into southern South Carolina. Well, we do have a tropical wave kind of hanging out here with us here north of the Leeward Islands about a week from today on the icon. Now, let's go over ensemble, guys. Remember, this makes up 51 members. So there's a lot of just everywhere kind of members, just everywhere. There's not a solid signal for anywhere between now and the next week here in the Caribbean or Gulf. But if you look here at the bottom of your screen, you can see a signal for a wave showing up. And then we go about 10 days out, right? And the signal is there, except obviously it's further further west and northwest. Now, there isn't a ton of members in here. You look at this at first, you're like, ooh, that's a solid signal. But if you count all those members, it doesn't even make up half. You got a few members kind of jumping around right into here, but this goes out to about the evening of October the 10th. So about 1/3 through October. So you got that. That's a pretty solid signal for one last tropical wave, right? And then we look at the GFS ensemble. Shows more of a lower latitude wave, but the same wave down here. This only makes up 21 members, so more members is more impressive because there's only 21 members in the GFS ensemble. And then we go out about 10 days. And you got a solid signal showing up in the Western Caribbean, some clustering members in the Southern Gulf, the Bay of Campeche, and then you got that signal showing up right here for some sort of tropical wave, kind of starting here, going like that, or maybe even like that, which we don't want to see. So last thing we'll look at is the Google DeepMind ensemble, which is done pretty well with the two systems ongoing right now. And that is a solid signal. Starting to come out the MDR, which is really late in the season for this type of stuff. And then we go about 10 days out. And the good news is a lot of these members recurve. It does pick up on that kind of area that the Canadian model likes, shows a couple members. So, to kind of wrap this up, and to really figure out which wave it's latching on to, first off, there's one wave kind of right in the central sections of what we call the MDR, Main Development Region Tropical Atlantic. Model guidance really isn't latching on to this at all, but there's a tropical, some convection out here. This is the Eastern Caribbean. This is the Lesser Antilles, so it's just kind of hanging out, but model guys don't really like this. It likes something that's going to most likely get going in this area somewhere. But right now, there isn't anything going on. Could there be a wave that kind of emerges off Africa? Could this be it down here? That's pretty far south. So just some things we need to watch. But there's nothing really in real time that I can show you that these models are picking up on. But we're going to continue to watch the tropics. Nothing concerning whatsoever right now at all. But as far as today's weather, surge of moisture kind of just stationary here in Nebraska and areas of Kansas. A little bit of moisture up here in North Dakota. Some moisture across the western U.S., Montana, and some sprinkle light rain action across areas of Virginia and North Carolina. You know, the Outer Banks just lost some more houses out in this area. What is it? The town of, I think it was Buxton. Buxton lost some houses. You know, this is my personal opinion, but I don't have a clue why anybody would build any houses out in the Outer Banks. I mean, heck, if we even get a tropical system 500 miles away, it destroys houses. It pulls houses out to sea. So for anybody tuning in, thinking about building a house on the Outer Banks, please don't. I don't. They are one landfall in Category 1 or 2 hurricane away from just pulling a ton of houses out to sea. If we got a major hurricane that just pretty much, if we had a major hurricane, I mean, it's hard to get a hurricane to just kind of do this number, right? To kind of just do like that. You don't see that much. The last one to really just plow right into the coastline like that. One of the last ones is like Hurricane Hugo. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll come up like this or like this. Okay, but man, you are one eye wall away from just the Outer Banks just not being livable. And there's in many areas. Like for example, if a hurricane was to come up through here, in my opinion, like right here, and Hugo took more so this path and went north of Charleston. But if you had a hurricane to take this path, that would put Charleston right into onshore flow, right into the harbor. I'm telling you, it would. I mean, Charleston floods when you have gets big time flood when you have like the moon is a full moon. So you know, with the tidal surge and stuff like that. So there's a lot of very vulnerable areas that aren't talked about along the southeast coastline because we just haven't had a very strong hurricane. I mean, it seems like we wipe out a pier around the Grand Strand, Myrtle Beach area every time a tropical system comes close. So anyways, but watches, warnings, and advisories, and it's quiet. And honestly, guys, it's a quiet weather day. A little risk of thunderstorms across this light green area in southern Florida and areas of, you know, western Washington. But outside of that, guys, I mean, it's a quiet day of weather. Southeast, nothing to speak on. Honestly, a lot of dry air starts to kind of move in from the northeast. The Carolinas end up dropping humidity levels. But regardless, I mean, there's nothing to speak on. The northeast, same thing. Beautiful fall, crisp day. Just really will get the leaves turning if they haven't turned. I've seen pictures of the Adirondacks. You guys have been getting a show as far as the northern lights up here in the interior New England area. It's wild to me that nobody's really talking about it much. We're just getting pictures of this area, but man, crazy stuff. I don't know if that is for my folks up in New England. Is it normal to see the northern lights as much as we've been seeing it up here? I don't know, just wild stuff. South Central U.S., we get into this afternoon and evening. There's just nothing. Hope you guys are doing well. Mary, hope you're well. In Northeast Texas, but there's nothing to talk about. North Central U.S., nothing to talk about either. I mean, it's just been quiet weather over the middle of the country. Very quiet weather. The Western U.S., we just continue to get surges, rounds of rain, snow in very high up elevations. Just not quite deep enough into the cooler seasons to get widespread snow, but you know, not really a whole lot to talk about there. The eastern U.S., you can tell how we have, because of our tropical systems, some cool air getting yanked down from the cyclonic flow on the backside of Umberto and Imelda. And you can thank the tropical systems for this, but I mean, highs are only going to be in the 50s and 40s in certain areas up here. Beautiful day across the mid-Atlantic and southeast. But once you unfortunately start to get in these areas, still hanging on to summer type conditions. And, you know, just the middle of the country has really been an extension of fall. I mean, all the way up into Minnesota and the Dakotas. So out west, you're a little bit cooler because some troughing in place. I think below average temperatures will stick around for a while based off the Climate Prediction Center outlook. But hey guys, that's all I got. nothing really else to add. I'm gonna probably do one of my live videos here, maybe today, tomorrow, just talking, like we always do, about once every month, month and a half, and so if I do it, it'll probably be sometime between, I don't know, 3 to 5 o'clock this afternoon. So stay tuned for that if you want to jump on and say hey or anything like that. We'll just talk over some things and all of that. But God bless all y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day. That's all I got, and we'll talk again tomorrow morning.